Hello everyone. We are with a chocolate maker, a small chocolate maker who work in.
Helen, I am based in Barcelona, Spain.
We are with Lauren. Lauren is the creator of one of the most important online community about chocolate. Lauren, could you tell me exactly what is Well Tempered?
Surely. So, Well Tempered is a community of professionals in the cocoa, chocolate, and cacao sphere. And that essentially is in over 120 countries at the moment. And we're about 3,500 members. But really, I see it as a place for the community to gather and connect with one another and celebrate the work that others are doing. And through that, of course, there's some other perks that come along with being a part of the community.
Okay, what was your inspiration to create a community? You have a podcast. What was the first step to create a community that now is so big?
It was a little bit by accident, if I have to tell the truth. So, when I started making chocolate in Colorado, weekend chocolate, I decided that at that point I wanted to do a three-prong approach. So, it was a podcast, a chocolate business, and a community piece that would tie all of the elements together. And I didn't realize that one would take off more than the other, or one would become more important per se. But something that I've always been attuned with is that I see what's missing in a marketplace or what's missing for a community, for a set of individuals, and I try to create that solution. So at the time, there were certainly forums that are still very important for people in chocolate to go for information. But what was happening is it wasn't expeditious, it wasn't in the moment. So you might have a question and 2 years later, an answer would come. Or it was quite public, and therefore people weren't able to speak about maybe some things that they would rather not their clients be searching on Google for and discover that they had certain issues or things that they needed to discuss, certainly just with their peers.
This is the most frequent question that the people make in Well Tempered.
Tempering is so hard, and when you're learning to make chocolate, so many things can go wrong. Your humidity might be high in your room, a temperature might be off. You're working with a bean, cocoa bean that has a personality of its own. So of course it acts a certain way. We get a lot of questions that are asking, what did I do wrong? Or what happened? And we also get a lot of questions with people that maybe have a new machine and need to understand how to use the machine best for their recipes or for their electrical system or for the country where they're based. And, I think we've almost become this connector between the customer and the brands. So it's quite interesting because, we're offering a free service here, but in many ways, we have come to be a place where people can learn how to use the things that they have recently purchased.
Yeah, this is that most of the small chocolate makers, they are not coming from the pastry world or the chocolate where they are artists, musicians, even doctor. So probably the harder part is tempered.
Interesting that the name stuck, and I'll tell the story of that because, again, I have been very interested in what women in cacao and chocolate have been doing since millennia. But certainly when I was entering the space, I was seeing that a lot of the promotion and a lot of the features were going to certain male industry members, and wondering why that was. So at the time of the launch of the podcast and the time of the launch of the group, it was specifically in my mind going to be for women, because I wanted us to have a safe place where we could gather and discuss things. And the pun or the play on words was that Well Tempered was this idea that women needed to be in a state of mind that was together and gathered. Otherwise, we were thought of as hysteric.
Okay, but you have been working a lot for all the women that work in the chocolate industry, and nobody, know their names. How has been that work? Working, putting all those girls in the front of the screen.
To me, I think I've taken it up as a bit of a life's mission and purpose to highlight what other people are doing, and particularly those that might be vulnerable or might be from marginalized groups, and discovering how we can access what is unique to them and share that with the world, because someone's story is as important as anyone else's, and it doesn't matter how much money they have or what their marketing budget is, or if they're a famous chef or pastry chef for that matter. But I think I cannot take credit entirely for, well, certainly I will not take credit for being the sole person who lifts up the voices of women. You're certainly there, and we have been experiencing thousands of years of women being important parts of their family's history in having cacao at home or harvesting cacao for their communities. And I don't see past that. I know that we're all very much owing to where we are today to what has come before us as well.
Something that is very special that you have done is during the COVID hardest moment, you helped to a lot of people to think about what could happen with, for example, the harvest. So, could you tell me a little more about what you really did during the first month of the lockdown in Europe, about talking about the COVID and how the COVID could impact in the industry?
I think that starts with mentioning that from the podcast, I had taken a very serious professional angle, in that I thought that every episode had to be perfect, and I would be recording and spending hours editing episodes so that they sounded like they were coming from NPR, which is a popular radio station. And when COVID happened, I recognized that there was an urgency that we needed to connect with one another, and that we needed to hear more stories and from more people. And how was I going to be able to share that in a way that would be consistent and also forgivable, that people would say, okay, this isn't perfect, and this is going to be live, but I can access this information immediately, and I can access this information regardless of what my socioeconomic status is. But if I have access to internet, I can watch this.
Yeah, you have helped a lot of people, and do you have an special, story about someone that you have helped in all these years, especially just with a Facebook group?
Would you like me to tell the story of
Yes.
Venezuela?
Yes.
Okay. So I would be hesitant to say that I helped this person, but it is a cause of the group existing, or an effect rather of the group existing, that there was someone who had let me know. And so I don't know how many other stories exist that are perhaps similar but are not told to us. And that's actually one thing that I think you and I could have a chat about, is when you take this role on as a communicator, you do it often thanklessly, just because it feels like the right thing to do. And that's how I often approach my work. But in this case, there was someone who was living in Venezuela. And of course, there's been some difficult years that have happened with the current government situation and just in general. And they didn't have to leave their country, because they were able to find enough clients and a market to sell to outside of their country, through supposedly Well-Tempered's audience.
I love Well-Tempered because I always go there because sometimes I need to talk to someone to eat in another country, and it's very common to find there. It's the possibility is very high to find a guy that you need to talk, and I love Well-Tempered, and I love when Well-Tempered have jumped to the reality. So you have been a Well-Tempered meeting in Salon du Chocolat de Paris, and how has been that?
Yeah, that's been very special to be able to connect with people that you have spent months or years engaging with on a platform digitally. And I think, one of the reasons that now my moderator, Estelle, Tracy, and I spend so much time telling people that it's important to be nice is because at some point you might see that person in person, and you do not want to necessarily have an argument from an online forum be impeding your relationship when you see them. So it's been special to witness that there have been moments when people have been able to come together because of the community we're creating there and that they're a part of. And I tell people that too, like, maybe I'm the creator of this group, but this group doesn't exist without you. It needs also your input and your photos and your experience for it to function and for it to be a place that is welcoming and a place that is important and valuable.
What is the most challenge to manage a community so big?
Wow, that's hard. So I think what has come about in sort of the years since the internet has gained traction and popularity is that community managers are now official titles. It's a role, it's a position that you can have because it is a job, and it does require certain neutrality or certain experiences and ways of speaking and engaging with people where you need to respect where they're coming from or where they're going, or what their past is in relationship to the person that they're speaking with. And so that has been a little bit of a challenge in terms of how do you let people know that they can do XYZ but not do ABC, and why that's important. And I think some people take it for granted in that way because it's very easy to come on when you need something, but the truth is there's someone there every day managing all of those questions and all of those comments and ensuring that when you arrive you are taken care of.
Yes, and you have to say that is it's a free job. I mean, you don't earn money with well tempered. It's just it's volunteer. You work as a volunteer, and why you keep working in well tempered? What make you get into all the stories? Keep working in well tempered.
Well, I am crazy, I suppose, is probably a short answer. I have always been interested in offering value to people. That's something I really pride myself on as giving to others. Is if you have an experience with me, that it's important and valuable to why we're both here, and that hopefully you find a solution in what you're looking for. But with that said, Helen, I think it's also very important to recognize that this is a special moment in time, and that's also why we acknowledge or try to very regularly that the way that it is now might not always be the way it is. And that really that live in the moment is also to show gratitude and to appreciate in the moment, because this is a service that we have offered at no charge, and because of certain situations in my life at this point, I can give that time and give that value to the community. But I would love to in the future have a living earned.
Yeah, yeah. You are the chocolate maker too. In a small chocolate maker, do you make chocolate of a small batches? And how do you connect? I mean, the group with your all personal chocolate brand that is Weekend Chocolate, and how do you connect all the stories or all the information in the group and even in the podcast with your personal brand, chocolate brand?
That's a great question. I think it's yet to be determined, because right now in Spain the brand is paused, and I would love to be able to start it again one day. I have so many ideas still floating. I'm constantly writing down recipes, and I'm inspired by what I see and where we live and the amazing abundance of produce that we have available in Spain, the olive oil and the almonds and the beautiful fruits and vegetables. And so, of course, I'm wanting to create and I yearn for that day. But I think, it's maybe fair to say that I will be a certain type of chocolate maker because of what I've experienced with Well Tempered, because I involve myself so greatly in all of the threads and the comments that happen, that I feel a lot of gratitude as well, that there have been people that have shared um, how chocolate is made and why fats react a certain way in this manner. And I think in the end that will hopefully make me a better chocolate maker. So of course, it takes a village is a very adequate phrase, because I am not created individually. I am also who I am because of the people around me.
So you are that you are not alone creating
Yeah.
your chocolate, even if it's in a small business and most of the chocolate makers are alone in their home or their factory. I mean, they are not alone because they can share at the end of the day what they have been doing, how it is well tempered or not.
I always say that I think it's not correct to say that one is self-taught. I think that if you work alone, you are perhaps self-practiced. And that's in my case. I mean, when I go into my kitchen and I create a batch, I'm alone, but I'm certainly inspired by what I've witnessed, or the work of other people. Even if it's not in chocolate making, it's the work of the agriculturalists or the work of the farmers. So it's never me only.
You have created an amazing bar that is called Tres Leches. That means in English is three milk. And it reminds me to that special dessert that we have in Latin America. So, what is how did be that experience? Could you tell me a little more about your Tres Leche bar?
So I grew up in the United States, and there's an enormous influence of Latin American and Central American cultures. And tres leches was a dessert that you could see even in local supermarkets in the Delhi area. This bar is not based on replicating that dessert, but it was based on utilizing the play on words. So I created a dark milk that was using 3 types of milk in its high cacao percentage. So it included milk of a cow, milk of a goat, and milk of a donkey.
What was the challenge, the biggest challenge to create that kind of bar?
Well, I am always seeking out things that are unusual. I myself, I think that I'm very much a black sheep. I couldn't I couldn't get sheep milk. That's very funny now that I think of it. But I want to try things that are bizarre or strange to other people, and figure out if indeed it's bizarre to me. And in this case, I think I had just been doing some Google searching of where you could firstly buy milk in Spain, because I'm quite new to living here and to understanding how to speak the language, but also where to access products. So who are your vendors? Where do you buy from? And I discovered that there was a very, very small operation in Italy that was selling donkey milk, and it is such a scarce production that it's quite expensive. So at that point it was about 180 euros a kilo, I think. Might have even been double that, but that made it extremely difficult to build into the recipe, because I wanted the flavor to come out, but I couldn't take on so much of the cost. Yet even still, it was a very, very limited edition because of that.
This was an amazing bar. I love it. You had to go back to create a game because it was so creative. So it was delicious because the 3 meals were not fighting. They were like, very balanced and harmonic. So congratulations for that part. Please, you have to do a special batch just for friends. So could you tell me how's the way that the people could involve in well tempered and people who is listening to us who want to be part of that amazing community.
Sure. Yeah. So we are accessible via Facebook, and you just search for Well Tempered. It comes up as a group. You must apply to be a part of the group, and we ask that you be a professional. So, as I was saying, it's not necessarily a place to learn how to make chocolate. There are already forums and there are already pages on the web that offer that element. So, first and foremost, we want to be a place where we gather and exchange ideas. But if you apply with your personal account and not your brand account, then it will be some time that we take to review and ensure you say you are who you say you are, and that we welcome you into the group. And of course, if that's not a possibility for you in this moment, or you don't use Facebook, we also have a newsletter that gets sent out every Monday, and there's an archive of podcasts and videos that are available on my Well Tempered Media site, which has been a branch off from the group.
You are always working to find the most quantity of information of the that exists in online. So, I mean, on Monday you receive a email that is an amazing job. Congratulations, because you can find uh, a lot of information there. So, how many people receive that email that is for free too?
There are 1,000 people that are registered for the Monday email, and I haven't done a lot of promotion about it. That's been pretty organic from people that have been within the group. And I think you mentioned something very important, Helen, and I'm very interested in accessibility, and I want people to be able to access information regardless of where they are, or maybe some of the hurdles that they have. And so for as long as I can, I will try to hold to that. But of course, in the future, some of those things might change. Maybe there will be a cost associated, or maybe there will be a consulting fee. I mean, we'll have to see how things evolve. But I also hope that what I've done inspires other organizations and other groups to see that you don't need a big marketing budget, or you don't need, a person, a group of 10 to do something. It can be simply done and well done if you have someone perhaps that cares enough to do it.
And the good thing is that you speak Spanish too. So it's a bilingual community. And in the future, I'm absolutely sure that you will speak a better Spanish, and I will be speaking a better English. So, and it's a bilingual community too, because I have seen a lot of people speaking Spanish and asking questions in Spanish. And could you tell me that in the future, probably the email we receive, we have a lot of information in Spanish too.
So I started learning Spanish quite at an older age. I was 28 when I was beginning to practice, and all I could say is quiero un café con leche. But I've improved a little bit, and I'm still working on it. And within the group, we welcome people to express themselves in what's most comfortable for them. So another reason we use Facebook as a platform is because we are not coders, Estelle and I. We don't know how to create web pages or want to create an extra set for people to have to register to something. So through the Facebook service, we get all of the perks that are made by Facebook. And that means, it sounds like I'm doing a promotion for them. I'm really not. I just mean to say that they have a big budget to create tools that work on the back end, so that if you wrote in French, and I don't speak French, which I don't, I can read your message because it's translated automatically. Or if I would like to tag a post with a certain element, I can very effortlessly tag that post. And so those really help us to manage the things that are not our skills.
Yes, Facebook has been really friendly for that. And even in Latin America, it's very popular. So I think this was a right decision to choose Facebook as your platform. So, please tell me what could happen in the future, because Well Tempered was a podcast, but now I have seen you a lot in video podcasts. So, and even in live meetings and live interview. So it's very important for you, because I know that you are a little shy. You don't seem like, but sometimes it was you are a perfectionist. So, so to be online, there was a big challenge. Will be the future of Well Tempered.
You never know. I mean, with the pandemic, I think so many of us have learned that we're unsure of what is tomorrow or next month. And so I'm really just sitting in the gratitude of coming this far and doing something that I cared about and didn't know if it would work and didn't expect anything from it. But I appreciate those comments, Helen, because it has been more difficult for me to be on video. I've always been quite shy, as you said, and very concerned with the way that I sounded because of my background and where I came from. I wasn't educated to a level that I felt like was adequate for radio or for television. And so doing these things is also a personal challenge. You know, can I do it? And can I do it well enough? And I try with now the live videos and some of these other examples to let go of those things holding me back and just say no one is perfect and the moment is now.
That's it. The moment is now. I love to be with you. I love what you do. I love that you feel comfortable with different kind of people in the industry, because in your interview you have, a cacao producer or a big chocolate maker or whatever. And I love it. I really love your job. I really want to say that I admire it a lot, because I know that you are not journalist, and but you work a lot as a journalist. So congratulations, and thank you for have that amazing community and feed it. It's like a baby. Every day you feed it. I hope in the future I could read a book about Well Tempered. How you think to put all the interview or the podcast in the book in the future?
Wow. Well, thank you, Helen, for saying that. I appreciate your work, and you are a journalist, and so coming from you, that is incredible. But I hope to improve every day. And
Okay.
if there's a book, I would love a version. I think on my agenda, if I can make it happen, would be perhaps first a cookbook. I'm very passionate about using cacao and chocolate in our foods and incorporating recipes that can be a bit healthier, perhaps than what has usually been seen. So that's something I would love to do immediately. And then for the stories, yeah, that could be quite interesting. Recently, I've been looking more into what is the history of women in cacao and chocolate and why those stories are not told.
Well, I hope the next time I'll make you an interview, behind you have a lot of books. I hope to have the Well Tempered book. Okay, next time I will cross my finger for that to happen. Thank you for to be with
Thank
me
you.
today. Is you are doing an amazing job. I love it and I'm really admire it. And I thank you for making me speak in English. That's you.
Likewise, yeah, it's been really fun to be able to tune into your episodes and to know of all the people that you've impacted with your work as well. So I think, as we mentioned, perhaps in Spanish, it is a responsibility that we've taken upon ourselves. And I'm also grateful to see that there's so many new people that are entering the industry and they're dedicating themselves to interviews and storytelling too. So it's, the more that can be said, I'm interested in hearing from more voices.
That's what Lauren is a very good friend, but is the creator and an amazing community called Well Tempered. If you want that your chocolates well tempered, you have to go to Facebook page. So bye bye. Thank you very much for to be here. No, it was a pleasure to be with you. And in the future, I want you back.
Same. Thank you, Helen. Pleasure.
Bye bye.